Imagine you're handed a block of stone, cold, solid, completely unforgiving, no room for error, no way to undo a single cut. Now imagine that from that one block, just that one, you need to carve flesh, bone, fabric, metal, and somehow make a person standing 5 feet away feel like they're watching all four of those things exist at once, even though they know in their rational mind that they are looking at rock. That's not a riddle, that's not a metaphor. That's what actually happened in Naples, Italy, in 1753, and nearly 300 years later, no one has fully explained how. Here's what makes a sculpture legendary. It's not size, it's not age, it's not even beauty. There are thousands of beautiful sculptures. What makes something legendary is when it does something that the human brain insists should be impossible, and then refuses to let you look away from it. The Veiled Christ, Cristo Velato, does exactly that. It sits inside the San Severo Chapel in the heart of Naples, life-sized horizontal, Christ lying down after the crucifixion, his body draped under a thin shroud, and every single element you're looking at, the body, the cloth, the pillows beneath his head, the crown of thorns and the pliers and the chains scattered at his feet. Every single one of them is the same block of Carrara marble, carved by one man, Giuseppe Sammartino, who was 32 years old when he finished it. Let that settle for a second. Not different pieces assembled together, one block. But let's start where everyone starts when they first see this sculpture, the veil, because the veil should not be possible. When fabric lies over a body, it drapes, it pools, it creates distance between itself and whatever it's covering. You see the shape of what's underneath, but the cloth itself is its own separate layer, an independent surface. That is not what's happening here. What Sammartino carved is cloth that clings. The veil tracks every ridge of Christ's ribcage, traces the hollow at the base of the throat, follows the individual knuckles of each finger. The fabric isn't resting on the body. It seems to be dissolving into it. And your brain, completely unbidden, registers this as 3 separate materials: stone, skin, and silk, even though you know you're looking at one. Researchers studying a later veiled marble sculpture by Giovanni Strazza found something fascinating about how this perceptual illusion actually works. The sculptor doesn't carve a literal thin layer of stone over the face. Instead, they fully render the features beneath, as if no veil exists, and then introduce deliberate ridges, surface shifts, and micro-textures to signal to the viewer's brain that something transparent is present. The brain fills in the gap. It constructs a transparency that isn't physically there. Whether Sammartino used that same method or somehow went further, nobody can definitively say. What we can say is that the effect he achieved hasn't been matched since. Now here's where the story gets stranger. The man who commissioned this sculpture was Raimondo di Sangro, Prince of San Severo, and he was not a typical art patron. Di Sangro was the Grand Master of the Neapolitan Masonic Lodge, a self-styled alchemist, an inventor whose experiments regularly blurred the line between science and theatre. He built a carriage that crossed the Bay of Naples using cork floats and paddle wheels pulled by no horses, floating on water. He engineered fireworks that sounded like birdsong when they exploded. He was, by any measure, someone who delighted in making the impossible look effortless. And in the basement of the very same chapel where the Veiled Christ stands, he displayed 2 full human skeletons, each one wrapped in an intricate network that looked exactly like a complete arterial and venous system preserved in perfect anatomical detail. For centuries, visitors assumed Di Sangro had discovered a way to mineralize living blood, that he had somehow turned real human circulatory systems to stone. In 2008, researchers from University College London analysed the specimens. They found silk thread, wax, and wire constructed over real bones with extraordinary technical precision. Di Sangro hadn't transformed blood, he had built an illusion so convincing that it fooled people for 200 years. So when word spread that the Veiled Christ's marble shroud was formerly real fabric, that Di Sangro had given Sammartino some secret chemical formula to petrify linen into stone, people believed it. Visitors believed it for generations. Some people believe it right now. The problem is the paper trail. A payment receipt dated December 16, 1752, sitting in the historical archive of the Bank of Naples, records 50 ducats paid to Giuseppe Sammartino for, quote, a marble statue of Christ covered by a veil, likewise of marble. Di Sangro himself, in personal correspondence, confirmed the veil was carved from the same block as the figure. The documentation is unambiguous. The veil is marble. It was always marble. It was carved. And yet the legend refuses to die because the alternative forces people to confront something they find equally uncomfortable. That a young sculptor with a chisel, working from a single stone, did something that should have taken a miracle. There's one more layer to this story that most people skip. Sammartino wasn't supposed to make this sculpture, not even close. The original commission went to Antonio Corradini, a Venetian master who had spent decades developing a specific specialty, sculpting marble veils. His modesty, which still stands in the same chapel, is a breathtaking figure of a draped female form, her face and body visible through carved stone fabric. Corradini was the veiled marble sculptor. This commission was literally his specialty. He died in 1752 before he could complete it. All he left behind was a small terracotta sketch, a rough model of his planned Christ figure. The commission passed to Sammartino, a far younger, far less established sculptor. And according to the San Severo Chapel Museum itself, Sammartino essentially set Corradini's model aside and started over, the backup artist, given the specialty commission of the century, ignoring the blueprint from the master of the genre. And what he produced was something so extraordinary that Antonio Canova, widely considered the greatest sculptor in Europe at the time, visited Naples, stood in front of it, and said he would give 10 years of his life to have made it. He then tried to purchase the sculpture and was turned down. Walk up close to the face, look at the forehead. There is a single vein, raised and distended, visible beneath the veil. The chapel describes it as still pulsating. That detail required Sammartino to carve anatomically accurate subcutaneous structure beneath the surface of the skin and then carve the suggestion of transparent fabric over that skin, all from the same material at the same time. One decision affected the other. There was no going back. Then look at the feet, the crown of thorns, the pliers, the chains. These objects carry a completely different surface quality than either the veil or the skin. Rough, where the cloth is smooth, dense, where the body is soft. Sammartino needed you to perceive metal, fabric, and flesh simultaneously. He gave all three to you from one slab of rock. The art historian Rudolf Wittkower called the veiled Christ hypertrophic virtuosity, technical skill chasing its own tail, showmanship mistaken for meaning. But there's a counter-reading, and it's worth sitting with. In Christian visual tradition, a veil is a threshold. It marks the boundary between what is visible and what is sacred, between the human and the divine, between presence and absence. The marble veil on that reading isn't a party trick. It's the entire theological point rendered in stone, and there's a deeper paradox built into how the veil actually functions. If it's a burial shroud, its purpose is mercy, covering the wounds, granting dignity to the dead, hiding the violence from view. But look at what this veil actually does. It makes everything more visible. The ribs are more defined under the cloth than they would be in open air. The wounds are more apparent. The exhaustion in the body reads more clearly through the fabric than it ever could without it. The shroud isn't concealing anything, it's amplifying it. So the question the sculpture leaves you with, the one it's been asking for nearly 3 centuries, is this. Is the veil an act of mercy, or is it an act of exposure? If you see concealment, you feel compassion. If you see revelation, you feel something else entirely. The unsettling sensation that this fabric doesn't protect the figure. It strips him. The veiled Christ still sits in that chapel in Naples. The line to see it runs around the block. You have to book weeks in advance. And when people finally stand in front of it, the reaction is almost always the same. Silence, then leaning in. Then the realization that what they're looking at simply should not exist. Not because of alchemy, not because of any secret the prince whispered to a young sculptor in the winter of 1752, but because a 32-year-old man picked up a chisel and by hand turned solid stone into something the human eye refuses to believe is stone. That's not magic. That's something harder to explain than magic. That's mastery taken so far past its limit that it stopped looking like work and started looking like the impossible.